Hello, I'm Francis Lawrence. I'm the director of The Hunger Games: Catching Fire, Mockingjay 1, Mockingjay 2, and also The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Hollywood royalty just did the unthinkable. Steven Spielberg and Francis Lawrence, two of the most powerful directors alive, didn't just distance themselves from Rachel Zegler, they exposed her, brutally, publicly, and allegedly with full intent to end the rising star's career. This wasn't some vague industry whisper. This was coordinated, strategic, and years in the making. The rumors had always been there. Zegler was difficult, entitled, disrespectful to legends who built the industry she walked into. But now, Spielberg and Lawrence aren't whispering anymore.
This woman is extraordinarily woke, as everyone is in Hollywood, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
They're allegedly laying everything bare. The on-set disasters, the diva behavior, the ego that swallowed entire productions. And the worst part? They're not doing it through tabloids. They're allegedly doing it through backchannels that actually matter. Studio heads, casting directors, showrunners. Right out of the gate, Spielberg is calling her a set killer. Lawrence reportedly calls her a director's nightmare. And suddenly, the phrase blacklisted isn't just fan speculation, it's the industry's new favorite word when her name comes up. Insiders are leaking call logs.
People like me who watched Disney princess movies when the world was okay and it was acceptable for us to dream about being a princess as a woman and meeting a handsome prince. But oh no, these big bad feminists now are telling us that's ridiculous. How dare you want to meet a handsome prince?
Crew memos. Frantic late-night texts from panicked producers wondering what to do next. The message, Rachel wasn't just a headache, she was a catastrophe. And now, the town is feasting on the fallout. Buckle up, because what you're about to hear is the inside story of how one actress allegedly burned every bridge in Hollywood, and how two legendary directors lit the match. It started on day one.
And be swept off of your feet and live happily ever after. No, you should want to be the prince. You should want to go out and fight the bad guys with a sword. And I'm like, I don't really want to do that.
Spielberg, who has worked with everyone from Tom Hanks to Meryl Streep, immediately noticed something was off. Zegler wasn't just green. She was arrogant, uncoachable, disrespectful, in ways the crew said they hadn't seen in decades. She would challenge blocking notes mid-scene, complain about camera angles, argue over line delivery, lines written decades ago that she thought she could improve. She'd roll her eyes when lighting techs adjusted her position, and allegedly refused reshoots unless her creative instincts were honored. Now, Spielberg has seen it all.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
He's worked with actual divas, but what insiders say enraged him was her total lack of humility. She was handed Maria on a silver platter, a role actresses would have killed for. Yet, according to whispers from the set, she acted like she was doing him a favor by showing up. And Spielberg, he kept it cool, took notes, stayed silent. But once award season rolled around and Ziegler's ego ballooned to catastrophic levels, he reached his breaking point. Insiders say Spielberg made 2 quick calls to studio heads and told them flatly, never again.
And the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign.
And when Steven freaking Spielberg says that, you listen. But Rachel didn't back down. In an Allure interview, she made a pointed dig at old-school directors who can't handle a strong woman. Everyone in the industry heard the subtext. She was talking about him, and that was it. That was the moment Rachel crossed a line no rising actress ever should. She didn't just lose Spielberg, she made him her enemy. Page 6 reports that shortly after that quote went viral, casting execs started labeling her as high risk. Directors pulled out, meetings got canceled.
Have they ever thought about maybe like a little bit of vulnerability study, opposition research, that sort of thing before you go and hire some Zoomer who's a lunatic? Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash.
All because one man, the man, was done playing nice. And let's be real. If the guy who gave us E.T., Jurassic Park, and Saving Private Ryan thinks you're toxic, you're not just in trouble, you're toast. There was no press release, no scandal headline, no dramatic lawsuit, but the silence was deafening. Hollywood has its own way of canceling someone, and it's rarely loud. Spielberg didn't tweet. He didn't rant to TMZ. Instead, insiders say he started doing what matters most in this town, quietly refusing to work with her, and that, in turn, signaled everyone else to follow suit. Suddenly, phones stopped ringing. Projects she was attached to fell apart. Her team started scrambling, offering her up for roles she once would have been chased for. Nothing. YouTube gossip channels started piecing it together. Zegler wasn't just taking time off. She was being iced out. Channel after channel started calling it what it was, a blacklist. Bounding into comics, pulled a quote from her where she tried to flip the narrative saying, "I have to be fearless and loud." It was supposed to sound bold, empowering, but fans weren't buying it. The quote went viral for all the wrong reasons. TikTok comments dragged her for self-victimizing. Twitter users called her delusional. Hollywood execs just rolled their eyes and their budgets. Because in this town, no one cares about your clapbacks. They care about your reputation. And if you've pissed off Spielberg and brought drama to multiple sets, your reputation is dead on arrival. Zegler's followers tried to spin it as sexism, as ageism, as misunderstanding. But no PR stunt can cover up the most obvious truth. When every casting director ghosts your agent, you're out. And make no mistake, this wasn't just Spielberg being petty. This was the town reading the room. And that room was screaming, Rachel Zegler is a liability. Fast forward to 2023. Poland. The icy, bleak backdrop of the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes matched the on-set mood almost too perfectly. Francis Lawrence, returning to the franchise that minted billions, was hoping to breathe new life into the Hunger Games universe. But what he got instead? A rerun of the Spielberg disaster. From day one, Zegler walked on set like she was the franchise. Sources say she treated crew like interns and demanded last-minute rewrites on scenes that had been locked for months. One report claimed she stormed off mid-shoot because the camera angle wasn't feminine enough. Another insider revealed she refused to wear a signature Lucy Gray dress because it didn't align with modern femininity. And that's just scratching the surface. Production assistants on Reddit called the energy toxic. One even compared it to walking into a bomb shelter every morning, not knowing who she'd snap at. She allegedly rewrote multiple lines on the fly, forcing entire camera teams to reconfigure coverage. Retakes dragged on because Zegler wouldn't sign off on anything without creative consultation. What should have been a smooth 10-hour day ballooned into 14 to 16-hour marathons. Why? Because Rachel wanted to debate the emotional realism of a fictional song lyric. Yes, really. Crew members, some of whom had worked on Mockingjay and Catching Fire, nicknamed those weeks the Zegler Zone, a phrase now whispered like a horror story among younger filmmakers. And then came the worst part, the performance itself. Evie magazine tore her Lucy Gray Baird to shreds, calling it cringy, arrogant, and entirely miscast. Critics echoed the sentiment. Fans rejected her immediately, claiming she had no soul behind the eyes, just smirks and forced fragility. But the real blow, Lawrence allegedly agreed. According to leaks from Lionsgate boardrooms, the director flat out told executives, "I'll never babysit that attitude again." Think about that. A franchise director, the same man who helped make Jennifer Lawrence a household name, was done after one film with Rachel. That's not just a bad review, that's a death sentence for future work. Because when someone like Francis Lawrence says you're a nightmare, that echoes through every lot in town. Late 2024, one phone call changed everything. Francis Lawrence had finally wrapped post-production, and instead of celebrating, he made a call. Not to the studio, not to Lionsgate's PR team, but to someone who understood exactly what he'd been through. Steven Spielberg. Sources say it wasn't even a long conversation, just a few minutes of venting. But what spilled out? Allegedly, one of the most damning behind-the-scenes exchanges in recent Hollywood memory. The call wasn't meant to leak, but a grip, who had the speakerphone on, passed the entire exchange to a mid-tier YouTube commentator. And from there, it exploded. Two titans. One nightmare, same actress. According to the leak, Spielberg reportedly told Lawrence she weaponizes her image but has no respect for the craft. Lawrence replied, "She acts like she's doing us a favor, like she's the franchise, not part of it." They weren't just commiserating, they were forming a pact. They promised to warn others, friends, producers, agents, young directors. Protect your crews from the Z effect. That's the line that stuck. And Hollywood listens to men like Spielberg and Lawrence. Suddenly, Rachel's name triggered red flags at Warner, at Universal. Even Paramount reportedly backed out of a minor streaming project when Spielberg's assistant allegedly advised, "Not advisable, And just like that, her entire momentum died. Representation panicked. Her manager allegedly sent over a desperate mass email offering Zegler at a reduced quote for prestige indies. Crickets. Because if two of Hollywood's most bankable, most respected directors are telling people to stay away, you better believe people listen. And quickly, Hollywood loves a comeback, but it lives for a takedown. And when that takedown has Spielberg and Lawrence behind it, it becomes gospel. And Rachel, she wasn't just on the outs, she was officially radioactive. Then Snow White detonated in March 2025. Budget, $350 million. Opening, a humiliating $43 million domestic. Vanity Fair's insiders pinned the corpse on Zegler's endless PR landmines. Disney had no red carpet, no junkets, too. Scared she'd swing at another classic or drop another political hand grenade, the fallout torched her last leverage. Facebook Reels claimed Disney slapped an internal "do not hire" tag beside her name. Insiders say the two directors met over lunch last week. They didn't plot revenge. They compared notes on rebuilding sets, morale, budgets, everything Zegler allegedly shattered. Both left agreeing on a single line: if the studios won't protect crews, we will. Word spread at light speed. Agencies got the hint. Casting chiefs got stricter, and Rachel, she fired off a cryptic tweet. Silence is violence. 10 minutes later, it vanished. But screenshots live forever. The directors spoke softly, but Hollywood heard a thunderclap.